For the first time in the season, we return to a previously visited track. However, changing up the layout, Daytona offers a shorter version of its rallycross course. What was already quite narrow confines now gets even more cramped. Will it prove too tight for our competitors? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 5 of the Jetta Rallycross Charity Cup, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Gary Weaver. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Some of our viewers may not have caught the opening round here at Daytona, so as a refresher, let's head down to our track guide and see what this place is all about. Welcome to Daytona International Speedway. While this fantastic facility just off the east coast of Florida is more known for NASCAR and the 24 Hours of Daytona, it's also hosted rallycross in its history. Here on iRacing, the developers have included 2 different layouts to race on, with both clocking in at just under a mile in length. They each have a pretty even mix between pavement and dirt, and both kick off the lap with a quick chicane leading into a jump. One of the best places to pass is into the International Horseshoe, but curiously, this is also where the Joker lap is placed. Cutting off that final hairpin, it doesn't remove a huge chunk of the lap, but it certainly can play a significant role in the races. Expect it to be used when things get frustrating, since overtakes are usually pretty tough to execute. There are portions of the track which are very tightly barricaded on each side, and it's not uncommon for drivers to wind up shedding a bit of bodywork through there. As you'd expect, it's probably one of the worst places for people to get aggressive, since it can all go wrong in a flash. Daytona's NASCAR roots may dominate its image, but time and again, this track shows its versatility by adapting to just about any type of racing out there. Daytona really does seem to offer just about any type of racing you could want here on iRacing, but Gary, why don't you go over this specific layout? Because as I said, we're on a different one than what we were a few weeks ago.
Yeah, this is going to be the short configuration as compared to the longer configuration. 9 turns and coming to just under a 3/4 of a mile in track length at 0.71 miles or 1.14 kilometers. Still, of course, at Daytona, still at the rally course configuration, just a little bit shorter and a little bit more cut down compared to the longer one, and staying more in the infield instead of going to the oval.
Yep, they won't be touching that this time. And still has the jump, still pretty similar in layout, but why don't we look at the championship, see if that has stayed similar as well. And up at the top of it, we've got 1 win for Cortez. That's good enough for a 9-point gap back to Visky, but that's still relatively tight around here. And it's 10 more back to Tim Brokaw. Samogi and Veldman round out the top 5, but Mark and Alexander both have a long way to go to catch up. And we are now into the second half of the season, so they're really going to have some good results here soon if they hope to try and catch those leaders. Now, in case we have viewers who've never watched this series before, this is a bit of a unique one here, Gary, so why don't you fill us in on the race details?
Yeah, here it's going to be round 5 of 8 for the right now for this week, as it's going to be in the Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup. Not the Volkswagen Beetle Rallycross car, but the Jetta TDI Cup. And it's a front-wheel drive, and it's going to present much of a challenge for these configurations. It's going to be 3 heats for 5 laps and 2 consolations for 5 laps at maximum if need be. And of course, we'll be always subject to change, but we'll always have a 10-lap feature with 10 cars maximum.
Just in the middle of warm-up right now as we watch everybody get their last little bit of practice in before we head to qualifying. Qualifying is only going to allow 3 laps. One thing that we were noting about this version of the course before we went live, Gary, is that last time we were here, it seemed almost like a street circuit for much of it, with all the barriers right up next to the edge of the circuit. This one seems a little bit more open, and maybe I'm wondering if that means it'll be a little more forgiving to some of the mistakes for our drivers.
Yeah, with the long configuration, if a driver was to, say, go off the right side of the jump or completely flip over, like where that is off in the distance, unfortunately, taking a huge tumble. That's Gustavo Chanferrani, who sticks the landing. Nope, stays on the side, unfortunately. But with the jump on the right-hand side, there's no wall to the outside there. There's no wall surrounding that, so it is a lot more forgiving with spacing, and you can have a little bit more of an excursion, shall we say, and still be able to at least come back from it.
Yeah, so plenty of grass out there. They're still making the jump, and they are getting a good amount of air, these cars, as you can see from Dougie's cameras. In fact, I've been noticing quite a few issues, like you were talking about with Gustavo Cianfrani, who seems to have trouble keeping it on that jump. Now, you can get a slowdown penalty if you try and skip that jump, so drivers do need to be careful about going wide because it will hurt you other than just potential damage to the car. Just a couple more seconds to go, then we'll get started on the qualifying. Sumogi is our leader of the timing sheets and warm-up for what it's worth, with Visky in second, much like he is in the points. So Gabor looks like he might have a good shot today to try and do something on Cortez, who has not shown up yet.
And I don't think Cortez is actually going to show up as we roll now into qualifying. So 3 laps, and it's just going to be something to really keep an eye on as the season wraps up, where Gabor probably not exactly comfortable with racing at the short configuration of Daytona. And, well, with the lack of walls essentially at some points of the track, then it's kind of understandable. But you can see here Christian Berg as they take the exit of that corner. That's a lot of space to be able to be used. And, well, this jump right here just manages to hop it just fine. You see just how kind of more empty it is compared to the long configuration.
Indeed, he's getting it going, and that starting line is the start-finish line, I should say, is where the timing takes place. It's not at the grid where they grid the cars. So right where we just saw Sumogi go under before the jump, that is where they will start to kick off their lap. So Berg's already on this first timed one. So as he comes around, he's going to be the first one to take a time. Let's see what he's able to put on the board, and it's a 40.5. So that sets the marker for everybody else. A lot of air. Wow. I'm hoping we don't have cars breaking their suspension here today, because that's actually a pretty good leap that they're managing to get here.
Yeah, with all the much more space, that's a good jump. The landing could have been better, and it's going to go wide by the looks of that, unfortunately. Sumogi crossing the start-finish line, and that will be good enough for P2 for the time being, and that is a lot of air. So it's impressive that these cars at some points can get a lot of pretty much the same amount of air that you could get in a rallycross car.
Berg having some serious problems. Definitely got some damage hitting something there. Visky is our provisional pole sitter after one lap. Second one not quicker for Visky. Let's see if Sumogi can manage to take that down. It's half a second difference between the two of them right now, so quite a wide gap. Mark has got actually shiny new paint, it seems, though he's having a few connection problems there for a moment. Second lap is quicker, but he's still 2/10 off of Gabor.
We'll see for the time, and well, taking a look at the actual time, about 2.5 minutes left, I believe. Pretty much everyone has a set a lap time aside from the start from the 996 Benz Jurak, who's actually just starting to finish up a lap, and pretty much the last attempt, and that didn't go through either. So unfortunately, maybe a little bit too much contact with the walls, unfortunately. So that's why that 996 is not having any times being counted.
Yeah, not many are left. Gustavo Cianfrani was on his third until he just went way off course. So even if he does count that one, he will be done. Gabor Georgi is also just finished, coming to a halt. I see Veldman still out there, but he's taken all 3 laps. I think that is everybody, essentially. Yeah, that is all of our times now set. So this is not your grid, but this is your qualifying order. They will be settled into heats based on these times, but Visky with the fastest time in first, Sumogi in second, Veldman third, Gabor Georgi in fourth with Gustavo Cianfrani P5, Tim Brokaw in sixth, Christian Berg seventh, Kyle Apsey in eighth. Benz Jurak, as you mentioned, did not manage to set a time, unfortunately. Got about a minute 20 left, so anybody out there is, from here on, just essentially getting some practice in.
Now, at this point, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it doesn't look like anybody's gonna put practice in anymore because everybody is out of their cars now. So that completes it. Sorry, go ahead. What you were gonna say there, Gary?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I mean, it's always an advantage to try and set in some practice laps, and then you said that, so I guess everyone's relatively comfortable with this track, and not really surprising since, well, it's a little bit more, again, just more forgiving compared to the long circuit, especially with the lack of walls around pretty much the entirety of the circuit. But heading into those first few corners with that jump is going to be something to really keep an eye on, especially with just all of the runoff that at this point is pretty much what can be classified as where that jump is. Just a lot of available space to really avoid things or just, well, unfortunately, maybe at some points spin off or even flip right off the racetrack.
Now, everybody should make it into the finale, the feature race, as we only have 9 cars, and usually it is a 10-car max for them. So these heats are basically trying to set the grid order for the cars more than anything else. Everyone will be able to take part in the big show. As the checkered flag finally comes out for the qualifying, we get to our first grid. It is going to be actually, it's everybody in one heat, it looks like. So we are only having one heat, and Gabor Visky will be on the front. It's actually exactly as I ordered it out before, so don't need to repeat that. We're just waiting for all the drivers to grid up here, and we will get going for a short 5-lap heat. Everybody will then make it into the feature. They have to do one joker lap in this, as a reminder, as the lights come up. Green flag is out, off the line. Who's going to be start on this 3-wide start? Who's going to be quick? Looks like a little bit ahead for some Mogi in the middle. Tries to chop off some car contact, some wheel banging, and Visky's going to try to come back at him. They head for the jump for the first time. Samogi backs out of it, thinks better of things. 3 wide for some of them, causing one to go over the turtle. That looks like Veldman. Everybody else seems to be through safely.
Everyone does manage to make it through the first few corners right now. Now it's going to be Samogi right on the back bumper, essentially, of Albert Visky as they head through the infield section, but more twisted section, the more narrow section of the track where it's not exactly possible to get any passes done. But already now, Visky going to take his joker lap very early on in this race, as well as Ben's Jurak.
Those are the only 2, it seems, that are going to take those joker laps. And if you watch the timing and scoring to the left, you will see when a driver has taken the joker lap, you get that little joker hat icon up. Oh, we had a problem with Tim Brokaw. I think he had some contact with Apsey. He did indeed. He got turned. Let's take a look at the replay here real quick. It's like 2 cars trying to go into one, just did not work.
It's going to be just coming off right past the starting pylon, and yep, just a little bit of real estate battling at that point.
Yeah. Visky still leads as we come back live. 2-second gap back to Samogi. That is good for Visky because he is going to try and keep Samogi from making inroads and getting back into this championship. We now have Georgi having taken his joker lap. Veldman did as well. Waiting on Samogi to come in. Let's see if he goes in this time. Looks like no. Behind them, we're watching the battle between Jurak and Sean Ferrani. Looks like Gustavo is going to take advantage of his joker lap. Get rid of these 2 that he was fighting with. That gives him the necessary track position he needs to try and stretch his legs out. Oh, but he's a little bit slow up into the jump. And look at that, Georgi with an incredible run to get by. Oh, but they come together.
It's going so well for that moment, and they're still going to be side by side. Georgi trying to at least stay beside Ben's Jurak, but that's not going to be the case for that time being. It was so good, and then unfortunately it was so much momentum to the point where contact just occurred there. So I mean, the final lap of the heat actually, it just went by in the blink of an eye.
It went very quick. The white flag was waved for Visky. Still has a 1.7 second gap. There you see our leader on screen. back onto the pavement section of the track. Smoky is really going to have to hustle, and I really don't think there's enough in it and just half a lap for him to try and challenge. Still, this is only the heat race. The feature will hand out more points than this one does. So as Visky comes to the line, oh, and Smoky hadn't taken his lap yet. He's taking his Joker lap. Does he have it? It's going to be close.
No. Wait.
It was Visky. Visky took it by 4/100ths of a second. Wow, I had lost track of who had taken the Joker laps, and that just narrowly worked out for him.
Almost, just by, what, a quarter of a car length was what could be equated to.
Georgi took third. Cianfrusati with a well-earned fourth. That is a much better finishing position than he is used to in some of his past races. Then it's Berg, Brokaw, Veldman, and Apsey. That is the last of our drivers. I believe, yep, there we go. Session has now switched over, and we are into the warm-up for the A-Main. The feature race, they get 2 minutes to try and readjust. Temperature here today has gone up since we started, by the way. It's now 100 degrees Fahrenheit out on the track surface. However, if you're looking to keep track more of the timing of the cars, make sure and check out our live timing and scoring page. That is at GSRC.tv, where if we're not covering your favorite car, you can make sure and keep track of it on your own. So that was enlightening, Gary. That had some interesting things going on. It seems that Joker lap, despite being pretty simple, could be pretty decisive.
Yeah, especially with the fact that to save that Joker lap until the final lap, it's always a great strategy to use. I think most drivers in that heat just kind of decide to, in a sense, throw it away really early on just to try and get an early advantage or maybe a mid-race. But saving that Joker lap for the final lap was good, and it almost paid off for Smoky. And it's something to really keep an eye on for this for these final laps, because, well, so 5 extra laps, and it may be enough for Smoky to close the gap just that little bit more to Visky.
Just a reminder that these drivers, though they are fighting for some bragging rights, they're all doing it for a good cause. The winner of the points championship at the end of the season has a pool of money that everybody has been donating to over the course of the season, donated to the charity of their choice. So this is all wonderful, essentially charity series that they are running as we ride on board here with one of our drivers. I believe this is Visky that we are riding with. Checkered flag comes out in the warm-up. Cars will be taking to the gridding area now. Short race today with only 9 cars showing up. So here we have our feature with Visky starting on the pole. What can he do with this one? Looks like they're all out there pretty early. So the engines start to rev as the lights come up. Green flag is out. Who's going to get a good start this time? Middle did not get the shot like we saw before. Georgi around the outside. Look at this, though. He's got a little bit of a nose ahead. Visky, is he going to try and cover him off? He tries, but now he's under attack from Cianfrusati, who is almost going 3 wide for the lead. He's going to get chopped off as they all siphon into the jump.
Everyone's starting to single file out through as they go through the jump in the first section. Visky's actually going to be going down to the inside lane, or right-hand side, I should say, for the pass. Georgi shuffled to second after exiting wide. And that means Visky is back in the lead, and now we're back in that same situation that we had throughout the heat race, just a lot earlier on, actually, compared to the heat race. Cianfrusati in striking distance of Georgi in that 44.
Looks like
both
we're gonna have
early
Visky
taking the Joker lap.
Yeah. Visky and Veldman both go through. Veldman gets a tip, though, from Cianfrusati. Didn't expect him to be there. That causes more of a checkup, and poor Gustavo, who's been just having a miserable time with that jump, finds himself all the way off course. Battle for second, though, as Simogi is trying to go around Veldman, and he is successful. That puts him in a P2.
I believe that's actually P3 compared to the 2. And actually, while speaking of P2, Georgi's going to make a move to the inside of Visky actually early on. I was thinking that Georgi and Visky were both going to save their Joker laps, but they both used it right away. So Georgi very confident as he drag races Visky into the jump, gives him a lot of room, and of course braking early just to make sure that no contact happens. And this brings Sean Ferrani into that battle.
Helps if my timing and scoring is in the right order. Meanwhile, battle for third. Sean Ferrani getting rough with Simogi, who even though he started up high, is steadily falling back in this 10-lap race. We're still waiting on Simogi to take his Joker lap. Brokaw needs his as well, so does Berg. Not seeing any takers this time, though. Watching from onboard Mark. Let's stay on this through the jump. Let's see what it's like from the driver's perspective. We're on the helmet cam right now. 75 miles an hour. Woohoo! Oh, and the car's out of control. He's off track. He's going to bring it back on without hitting anything, but that lost him a lot of time.
What a race this is so far. And still, it's not even half over. Yeah, it's starting to get to that point, but all right, now Visky has actually bridged a massive gap now between Georgi. So this leaves Georgi and the clutches of Sean Ferrani for that second place position. And you see 2.4 in between the 44 and the 5, second and first respectively. Right now, Simogi has yet to take the Joker lap, and he's very confident, I'm sure, to at least get some kind of position because the top 3, well, the 2 cars in front of him, I should say, have used the Joker lap, and Simogi, I'm pretty sure, is waiting just for that right moment, and that could be the last lap.
And Jurek took his Joker, so he is now done with that. We're getting a lot of cloud cover now.
Simogi taking the Joker lap early, actually.
Ooh. This is going to put him into second place. I'm surprised it took him this long because it seemed like he was really caught up in a lot of battles that were slowing him down.
Georgi broke loose.
Oh, and he's going to tumble over before he even gets to the jump. He got hit by Gustavo. Car is pretty hardy, though, and it looks like he's going to get it going once again.
Unfortunately for Georgi, just entered the dirt
Simogi
section.
caught up to Visky. Sorry. Our lead battle is very much on. In fact, he's going to take a look down to the inside, coming into the International Horseshoe. Can he manage to sneak through there? He's got the track position. Yes, he does. Simogi takes over the lead halfway through this race.
Just so much action going on at this point. It's just action just all over the racetrack, and Simogi now at this point running away with it. I think this is just, what, 2 laps after he had almost, or at least for the most part, pretty much was off the racetrack after the jump and all over the dirt. Managed to keep it together, took the Joker lap, and now he's in the lead. Visky's starting to fall back.
Makes you wonder if you would have actually been ahead of him after the Joker lap if he hadn't have had that mistake. Clearly, he's got excellent pace here. He's already pulled it out to 1.3 seconds, and it's only been 1 lap since he made that overtake. Sean Ferrani is still our 3rd place driver right now. He has also taken his Joker. Tim Brokaw could get up into the mix, though. He is in 4th, has yet to take his, and is not too far behind Gustavo.
Be running on board Tim Brokaw as we see Sean Ferrani. Tim Brokaw, as you can see there on the left-hand side, has yet to take the Joker lap, as well as Christian Berg also has yet to take the Joker lap. Tim Brokaw in the best position possible, coming to 2 laps to go under the scoring pylon, as Veldman unfortunately is pretty much out and has been for quite some time.
Riding on board here with with Tim Brokaw. Definitely a line forming in the track quite a bit. As it gets drier and drier, that is going to slick up. They're being chased by Jurek, who is slowly closing in himself. So it's a three-way battle for the last step on the podium. Just as we get the white flag for 1 to go. Question is, who's going to take it and win on that Joker lap? Well, Tim's taking it now. Tim is going to try to get that track position over Gustavo. He's got the track position, but he doesn't have the pace, and they're actually going to come together. They bang doors, and it looks like Gustavo is going to get that track position. Can he fight back? Can Tim try and roughhouse his way back through?
It's going to bring Jurek into this battle as Samogi continues to make his way to the line.
Whoa, car almost going over there. Meanwhile, we've got to go to Samogi, who comes around the International Horseshoe for the final time. He may not have won the heat, but that's not where the big points get awarded. Mark Samogi is going to take the victory over his rival, Gabor Viski. And who is going to take the final step of the podium?
Oh, Jurek sending it into the corner, trying to get to Brokaw, but it's not going to work out.
It's going to be Cianfrani, who finishes in third. Brokaw, unfortunately, just shy of spraying the champagne. Jurek still managed to top 5. Berg behind them. Georgi in 7th. As we take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel, we'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. We're here for round 5 of the Jetta Rallycross Charity Cup. And here at Daytona's short course, it seems that Samogi had the measure of everyone. He didn't lead every lap, but he didn't need to, as he came away with the victory. You can ignore the race results a little bit there. Samogi was on top in the end with Gabor Viski in second and Gustavo Cianfrani in P3. Then you've got Bench Jurek in fourth, followed by Christian Berg in P5, Kyle Apsey in 6th, Gabor Georgi 7th, lap down, Tim Brokaw as well, a lap down in 8th, and Alexander Feldman unfortunately DNFing in the feature race today. We have our winner ready to talk to us, Mark Samogi, who joins us here in the booth. Mark, congratulations on the feature victory. Did being defeated in the heat race sort of urge you on to not fall to the same fate here in the feature race? Might not have Mark properly mic'd up here. We'll see if we can get his mic turned on.
Yeah,
There we
sorry.
go. There we
My
go.
fault, sorry. Yeah, I wanted to make a big fight again with Whiskey, but his steering was damaged and he let me pass because we didn't want to damage each other. So this was why I can go that easy through him.
Ah, so some unseen damage that we had missed. Weren't realize that he was slowed up because of that. We were a bit surprised when you came through and were suddenly fighting for that. Talk about the last lap though of the heat race coming around. How nervous were you realizing how close it was going to be coming to the line?
We was practicing a lot with our teammates, so we count about 2 seconds, and between me and Whiskey it was 1.8 seconds, and I was a little bit too slow when I went in the Joker lap. And this was why it was so close. So it was from 1.28 seconds, and I was slow. This was my fault.
Well, still, it gave us an exciting finish. Talk about though, since this is for charity, if you manage to work your way up, because this win will definitely help bring you back into the hunt. What charity are you planning to donate to?
I would, if I win it, I want to give this charity for the children hospitality, the Hungarian children hospitality, the Heimpal children hospitality.
Oh, that is a wonderful cause, and thank you for coming and talk to us. Congratulations on the victory, and hopefully, we'll see you at the next round.
Thank you very much. I will wait for the next round. Thank you, guys.
It was Mark Samogi, and it looks like we have our third place finisher, Gustavo Cianfrani, with Gary, ready to talk to him.
Yeah, here with Gustavo Cianfrani, who finished fourth in the heat race, then one more position up in the feature event. So not too bad, a consistent top five today. How's the track out there with the cars and especially the jump, as well as just kind of navigating the more relatively open portion of the racetrack?
Hello, guys. Uh, First of all, finally I got a good result. I was always knocking on the door, but seems always something happened to me. But now finally I got a podium. I was I think of the race. I should be do the joker lap sooner, so I lost a little time there. Then. I was a little bit careful at the jump because of the first race. I was second, and I still had the joker lap to do, but I screwed up. So this time I prefer to wait for and secure the podium.
Yeah, a little bit more of a conservative and more of a safe way and more patient way of driving. A very good strategy that can play off, especially even in short runs. So heading to the next race being Atlanta, the Rallycross long configuration. What are your thoughts?
We already did the short one, so it's a I think more high speed on the asphalt, but I don't remember the track. I don't know if they changed the dirt surface, so I still have to try it again.
Before we go ahead and let you go, what charity will you be donating to if you do manage to pull together a championship win?
Oh, it's difficult for me to get the championship win as I get some pretty bad results, but I think some as Mark said, some for the children. Um, Here in Brazil, we have lots of deaths because of the COVID. So it's I want to help children, people who still have a life ahead.
Oh, a really good cause. We hope to talk to you again next time.
Yeah, I hope to talk to you soon.
That is Gustavo Scianferrani finishing in the third place position, Joe.
And up next, we've got Tim Brokaw, who unfortunately was slotted down to 8th, I'm seeing, and I'm not sure what exactly caused this because he finished behind Sean Ferrani on the track. Tim, did you get some sort of penalty at the end there?
Well, they cleared the post-race black flag. I was just driving around and after the race, and it gave me a black flag for reckless driving. I might have hit the jump from the side,
Oh
but
no.
I don't know where they'll count it. But it was a lot of fun. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I hope you're doing good because that looked like a lot of fun. It's seemed towards the end when you saved that Joker lap, you and Gustavo actually had to get a little rough with one another. Tell us about that.
Yeah, those don't really want to turn on the dirt, and there just wasn't enough room for us to both take the line that we wanted through there. I think had I saved that one more lap, I might have been able to race him to the line. I think I was scared into taking it that lap because of pressure from behind.
And the other thing that we noticed is that it seemed like coming onto the pavement after the jump, we saw a few cars that either did tip over or were very close to rolling over. How difficult was that trying to get the car to be fast but not overdo it through that turn?
Way I was doing it was I was trying to decelerate through that whole section so that I wasn't hitting that transition with so much speed. Very much like last round at Lucas. You know, if you're too sideways and then the tires hit the asphalt, it's just going to come over because it's too bouncy, the suspension.
Yeah, it
So
seems
I was
like
just trying to scrub speed ahead of time so then I get a good run out of there. Really, that was my strategy.
Well, it seems like it gave you at least a decent amount of speed to try and compete up towards a possible podium, but that was not meant to be. Before we let you go, you are third in the points coming in. I'm not sure where this puts you going out of this round. If you manage to win, is there a particular charity that you've got your eye on to donate the money to?
No, my grandpa was really big into donating to the Arthritis Foundation, so I would probably go that route in his honor.
Oh, that's a fantastic, I think, nod to your grandfather. But thanks for coming and talking to us, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you some more in the remaining few rounds.
All right, sounds good, Joe. You have a good one.
There's Tim Brokaw, who wound up being scored in 8th, but it sounds like he will be restored to 4th when all is said and done. We'll try and get an update on that later. Big thank you to the organizers of the Jetta RX Charity Cup for bringing us on for coverage of this season. It's been a lot of fun to watch, that's for sure. And also thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts that are listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Gary, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media, where our Twitter is at GSR Channel, our Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, we've got a merchandise store where you can get some swag. You've got a link in the description below. It's just gsrc.storenvy.com. While you're down there, if you see a big red button that says subscribe, click that so that you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. That way you won't miss the next round, which will be Atlanta. Again, we said that'll be at the Rallycross long version over there. Saturday, June 6th at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. Check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Make sure not to miss the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series coming up later this evening at Langley. Until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.